Padded up on a Tank Tuesday. Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. August is here. It's football season. Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock here on the PHNX Cardinals podcast. Week 2 of training camp for our precious Arizona Cardinals. And up until this point, Bo, it has felt like shades of Cupcake Country Club training camp circa Cliff Kingsbury. Yet today, man amongst men, Jonathan Gannon put on the pads with his team. He didn't figuratively or literally put on the pads, but his team did. And they looked good in the process, did they not?
They did. It seemed like the intensity went up to 11 as far as Arizona Cardinals training camp went. It needed it. As you said, there was maybe some eerie shades of the previous regime, but you just had to keep confidence that this coaching staff wasn't going to allow that to happen. And they were just going to go through NFL protocol as far as, weathering the storm, learning as much as they possibly can, and installing and getting enough practice and valuable practice reps until this day came. And you could tell right from the jump that it was going to be a different type of practice. And man, was it intense. And we saw some players kind of stand out and rise above some of their counterparts out there, some of their teammates, including a third-round wide receiver who continues to open eyes, raise eyebrows out there on the practice field, Michael Wilson.
Say what's up to everybody in the chat. Benjamin, Kenny, Chris, Chase, Dylan, Han, Jacob. Got a full house today as people continue to trickle in. Welcome, friends. Welcome to football season. And welcome to the NFL, Clayton Tune and Michael Wilson. Because I think, again, Paris Johnson Jr., I'm just going to assume is like a 10-year vet. Like I've cemented him. Like he's not going anywhere. He's playing right tackle. I think he's going to do it at a high level. Like, is it hyperbole to say like this rookie class could be pretty damn good for the Arizona Cardinals, even though it's a team that a lot of people don't think is great? Like, I think that's where Cardinal fans are having a tough time. It's like, hey, is this actually a good highlight? Or is Clayton Tune throwing against guys who, should be selling insurance and bagging groceries? I'm being cruel there, but it's just like, I don't know how good they are. But I can watch clips with my eyes at PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter that my counterpoint puts out. And it's just like, that's a pretty nice throw from Clayton Tune. That's a pretty nice catch from Michael Wilson. It does feel like, especially with guys like Hollywood Brown sitting out and Colt McCoy's arm looking kind of like jello. It's like these younger folks, they're taking advantage of their opportunities. I want to start with Tune, though. You tease Michael Wilson. We'll talk about him in a second. So Clayton Tune, obviously fifth round rookie out of Houston, is getting some play with the ones. Like you texted me today, you're like, don't freak out, but he's dabbling with the ones today. And then Colt ended up coming in and just a little dab, a dab will do you. And then Colt came in and he dabbled with the ones as well. I'm not into that, but I'm excited because like, why are you giving Clayton Tune ones if you don't expect them to play? Is that crazy for me to say?
I mean, let's provide some context, right?
No,
if it's a world, if it's just a black and white world and we have zero nuance, and I mean, if you look at some of the videos out there, and I think Clayton Tune can impress you with his skill set and his ability to throw the football, and that's going to pop, especially in practice, right? I think people will start to get kind of lost in the sauce there because there still is the very big reality of Colt McCoy remains QB1 for this team, and it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a Herculean effort the exception to the rule of a 5th-round rookie out of Houston to unseat Colt McCoy as QB1 going into the start of the season. Now, we've discussed this at length, right? You're part of the Tune squad, Johnny. I don't think anybody could deny that. You've seen what you've wanted to see from Colt McCoy in his 2 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals. But at the same time, you want to see something fresh. You want to see maybe the start to the future of this organization. And it's certainly not a 37-year-old backup quarterback. But, I think that Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing expressed this, what Colt McCoy brings to the table that Clayton Tune, just at his age, just doesn't possess. And I think that that's going to be something that looms throughout this training camp, throughout stellar performances potentially in the preseason from Clayton Tune that, could just stand in the way of the Tune squad with you, Johnny. I mean, Clayton Tune, it looks good. He looks good, but I really think he's just, I don't know if it's realistic that he's going to start as this team's quarterback. I really just don't think so.
I mean, that's fine. You can think that. But again, like we're sitting here and he's getting reps with the ones. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's just because, Colt's got to take it easy. It's August 1. Like, how long are you going to take it easy for, Grandpa? Like, let's get going on. Let's get ready for the season, Colt. Clayton, to me, it's like David Blau and Jeff Driscoll have started NFL games, and it's Clayton Tune who's with the ones. Now,
we know this organization wants to play their rookies, right? I mean, they're going to roll with their rookies as much as possible, but they also with, that they want to put them in a position to be successful, especially at the quarterback position. It's so tough. Look, we'll get to some footage of Clayton Tune playing the position, but we talked to General Manager Monti Ossenfort today, and Monti was asked about Clayton Tune. And this was his response that might, temper some expectations. It's good. And then there's, of course, reality.
Yeah, Clayton's done great. Clayton's come in and he's approached it like a pro. He's put in extra time. He's put in extra time with our coaches, with our players. It's the toughest position to play in professional football, and really probably the toughest position to play in professional sports. And so, there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of extra time that you guys don't see here, the 2 hours of practice that you guys can come out and see. So Clayton's jumped in, as have all our rookies, all our quarterbacks, like they're putting in time that is required of that position. And it's fun to see him grow. Now, again, a long way to go, just like everybody else. But, I think there's the early starts have been promising on what we've seen from Clayton.
I want to lock arms with Monti Ossenfort right there and just maybe frolic in unison and realize like he's got a long way to go, but it's exciting. It's exciting to watch Clayton Tune in the development, the maturation happen before our eyes. And like, I don't want people to think I'm a wet blanket on Clayton Tune, but I just want to, I think Monti Ossenfort, I think Jonathan Gannon, I think Drew Petzing are very realistic about how brutal this league is. And that if you throw them in there too early, it could be extremely detrimental to the development of a very talented quarterback. It's happened to, even what guys who are perceived as much bigger prospects than Clayton Tune in the history of this game.
It's like, where did Monti Ossenfort come from? Well, he came from Tennessee, but before that, he came from New England, right? And he's been coached on how to approach the media. This is not Steve Kine, with all due respect. This is somebody that's very tactical with his words. I believe somebody with their actions, not what they say, right? And I'm watching this team, and they're giving them first team reps, and it's August. It's the first padded practice. I mean, they could have signed a veteran. They could have Jeff Driscoll or David Blau, who started games last year. Well, Clayton Tune was playing in a non-Power 5 conference. They could have those guys ahead of him. They're not. They're purposely allowing Clayton Tune to get exposure with the ones. That tells me they either have expectations he's going to start week 1, or he's going to have time to start before Kyler Murray comes back. That's why give him reps with the ones if you don't feel like that? Because if Colt McCoy is active as your number 1 QB and you're giving Clayton Tune reps with the ones, that means he's the number 2 QB and he's active on Sundays. And so you have to treat him. I think they're co-number 1s right now. I'm ready to come out and declare on this podcast.
Stop,
I think
Johnny, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't get people riled up into a frenzy about something that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, there is sprinkle in there was him working with the ones because he probably very likely going to enter the season as the backup quarterback. And I've maintained that. I think that this organization wants to give Clayton Tune every opportunity to be the backup quarterback of this team, even if it's ahead of schedule. But look, let's not just say they're co-starters right now, because that's not the truth.
I'm saying
yeah,
that's
because it was
in my head.
Today, day 6 of Cardinals training camp was his first reps, and it wasn't even a full first team. It was, it was the starting offensive line. It was Yellow Froholt at center. It was Elijah Wilkinson at left guard, DJ Humphries and Paris Johnson Jr. at the tackles, and Will Hernandez at right guard. And then you had a couple, wide receivers in there, and the guys that are taking reps as the starting tight ends with Trey McBride on the shelf for right now. And then Corey Clement, who seems to be, the third down back, but you're seeing him take reps with the bulk of the first team at the end of practice. That does fit more in line with what you're saying of him being, gearing up to be the backup. And if he has to get in there because a 37-year-old quarterback is your starting quarterback potentially to start the season, the reality that he might not be able to go the entire time while Kyler Murray comes back.
Co-ones. I think Austin Ford as well, saying Austin Ford has respect for Colt McCoy. So, you're not going to come out and shit on Colt McCoy and say, yeah, you know what, Clayton's really forcing the issue. He's on track to really to make some noise here, and we don't know what's going to happen. He's too buttoned up for that. He's too corporate, right? Which is great. Our last general manager was not buttoned up, far from it. So, I can speculate like this because I'm wearing a tank top, but Monti Austin Ford's buttoned up and he can go out and be the grown-up of the two of us. Just telling you right now, I think Colt McCoy with every practice is doing maybe irreparable damage to his opportunity to play this year for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think physically he can do it. Can I just say that? Mentally, I get it. He's you always say he's like a coach on the field. That's great. Can you be a coach on the field, on the sideline, maybe? Because right now, the throws that he is making at camp, it's
you
not
literally can't. By the way,
I let you
literally can't. Listen, you can't be a coach on the field on the sideline. Just so you know.
Field, yeah, you're technically on the field. You're just on the sideline.
No, but literally,
you're not. Come on this podcast, May, June, and July for the most part, and say you have to start Clayton Tune. I hate everybody thinks. I got people in my mention saying,
"Look at what you're doing. It's your boy. Look at what you're starting here. Look at him. He's saying Clayton starting. Look at it's your boy saying that. Is that your burner right there? What are we doing?
Clayton starting. This is not an agenda that I've tried to push irresponsibly for 3 months. Never once did I say Colt McCoy is trash. Get rid of Colt McCoy. I gave Colt McCoy, and most importantly, Austin Ford and Gannon the benefit of the doubt over the course of the summer. They're they've seen enough. He's looked good. My co-host, is sane-minded. He's seen him at minicamp. And I'm going to call a spade a spade. It's been low-key a horror show of some of the throws that we've seen from him during the early portion of training camp. On top of Bo Brock, whispers that, this is more open than people think. We have that sourced. And then additionally, the fact that he has to take every third day off, and he's pointing to it's weird. It's odd. If this was Colt McCoy during Cliff Kingsbury's camps, where he was efficient and he looked good, last year's red and white practice, remember he started, I would feel better about this whole thing. Just give Grandpa a break. Okay, Gramps, let's take a playoff. This kid's 6'3.5". He's going to make mistakes. But isn't that the point of this entire season until Kyler Murray comes back? Let's all make mistakes. You can't preach about, we're going to start a right tackle, albeit from Ohio State, and Michael Wilson had 600 yards total at Stanford. He's going to start. It's just, I know Austin Ford says it's the hardest position in all of sports to master and to play. But I think it feeds into the narrative. All these rookies are going to play. Why can't Clayton Tune play? I've come to grips with that. I think that's where this is headed. My co-host disagrees, and that's what's going to make this phenomenal theater over the course of training camp. But man, Colt McCoy, how is he going to help himself outside of being, in the locker room and during the film studies? I don't think he has the ability to shine on a football field anymore. I just don't.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I think, Colt looks similar that he did, last training camp, and he's looked in training camps previous to 2023. I mean, it's just, he can look bad. That's why he's the quintessential backup. That's why he never was a hit as a starting quarterback in this league. But can he go in there and can he operate your offense efficiently? Can he make sure guys are in the right spot? Can he read pre-snap read defenses? Can he read defenses? Get the ball into the playmakers for the Arizona Cardinals to move the chains and continue drives and cut into the time of possession to where I'm as skeptical as you are about Colt McCoy. I'm skeptical about Clayton Tune, and what usually rookie quarterbacks face. And I think Jalen Blair said this is reminiscent of the 2012 Seattle Seahawks and the rise of Russell Wilson. Look, Russell Wilson was also a 5-year player at the collegiate level, but he played in the ACC. He played his final year in the Big Ten for Wisconsin. He played big boy football. He was facing tough competition. I think, and Russell Wilson had played professional sports too. He was playing baseball as well in the minor leagues. I just think, and look, he's not going into Clayton Tune is not going into anywhere close to of the position that Russell Wilson was with that team. He had an elite defense, and he had an offense that was going to be run heavy first, and it was way more set up for success than what Clayton Tune is. I just think, as I see Chase, say preach Johnny and say that with as far as the Colt McCoy, we know what he can do. Yeah, like you guys say, we know what Colt can do as far as a negative, but you're not remembering the positive, like what we saw from Colt McCoy. What was it in the Rams game last year, and then the 2 wins he had the previous season? I think that Colt McCoy, right out of the gates, has the ability to run Petzing's offense, and not have to scrap any plays or cut the field in half as far as what they're seeing out there, and to try to really get the ball to the playmaker's hands. That's what he's going to do. And if he struggles, then you can start to look to Tune and let him prepare to start, if it's early in the season or ideally later in the season. It just seems like that's a better solution than just throwing him to the Wolves week 1.
Well, I think the beauty of it is like we're going to get a definitive answer on this of who's right or who's wrong, because Colt McCoy, if he starts week 1 and he's terrible, I mean, that feeds in the narrative like he had no business playing. And if he plays well and he reinforces the notion that, hey, this is the same guy, Bo, to your point from the last 2 seasons, then yeah, he deserved it. He deserved that opportunity. But it just feels like, I mean, honestly, there was a comment in here, and I agree with this. Like, it does feel like he's got 1 foot out the door for retirement. And that's not fair to Colt, I know, because he's come out and he said the opposite. But again, he's calling USFL games, color commentary. He was not signed by this regime, which makes it all the more befuddling that he's here right now. And it's hard for me to be subjective to this for Austin Ford and Gannon. Also, Tune should not be put in this position. I'll say that on every show. It's not fair for Clayton Tune on this team to be put in this position, nor is it fair for Colt McCoy. Like, Bo, when Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim were fired, like, what were the odds that you and I are going to sit on this show 6 months later and say, yeah, Colt McCoy is going to start this season? I think you and I both put a percentage on him being on the team at like 5%. So now we fast forward, and I'm only going off of the 2 options we were given. And I think when people say, well, Johnny's anti-Colt McCoy and he's pushing this Tune narrative, this is who we have. So this is what I'm going to decipher through. I'm not going to say, they should have done this, that, the other. They didn't do that. I've moved on. They've moved on. I hope it means Kyler Murray's coming back sooner. But like, I've seen enough from Colt McCoy. I saw Colt McCoy be subpar last year and then get injured and nicked up, and they hid stuff from the injury report was not good. And then now you're going to pair Colt McCoy without DeAndre Hopkins and a team that's rebuilding on the fly, a new offensive scheme. Like, I would say, frankly, Bo, like if there was another quarterback on the roster, like a DTR, or if they traded for Malik Willis or something, like I would be pushing for those players. I like Clayton Tune. This is not specific to Clayton Tune. This has more to do for me with Colt McCoy and his inability to give you anything upside on the field right now, because I think the Cardinals are going to be limited in a lot of aspects of what they do offensively early. And I don't want a limited quarterback also to be included in that, especially one that turns the football over. Like, he's throwing interceptions in every practice. He has not had a clean practice yet thus far. And a lot of his interceptions, they're not like we're trying to thread a needle here and he misread his receiver. There's some ducks out there. I mean, there's one going around the Twitter streets right now. He threw a red zone interception today, trying to scramble out of the pocket, and it was right to a defender. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad, man. You can't deny that. I mean, he's not gonna, and he admitted yesterday, as far as the offense going through growing pains, and Colt McCoy, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Colt McCoy. I think
No, I know.
you get what you're going to get, but I also think that we're losing sight. Like, he's shown the ability in his career to go out there, and recently with the Arizona Cardinals the last 2 seasons, to go and play well enough for you to win a football game. Sometimes dominate a football team offensively, like they did when they kicked the shit out of the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
And I know he's a season removed, and I completely get the skepticism as far as his ability to just stay healthy and be reliable, as far as him just being able to get under center into the shotgun and start the games it's going to take to get Kyler Murray back on the field. But, I think we're also sleeping on, like, the fact that this is the protocol. He's not breaking down just yet. We're seeing poor plays, sure, but we've seen those in the past. I'm curious to think, like, is Colt McCoy going to play himself out of the starting quarterback position, or is Clayton Tune going to play himself into it? And which of those realities is more realistic?
I think the more realistic scenario is that Clayton Tune plays his way into it, because I let's say they're both equally underwhelming. You're going to go with the veteran. Like, unless like Clayton Tune is average and Colt McCoy is awful, I think there's a better chance that like Colt McCoy is awful and Clayton Tune lights it up in the preseason and it's just undeniable. I think there's a better chance of that happening, because we've seen rookies that were late round picks but had a ton of collegiate experience play well in the preseason. Now it doesn't come to fruition because usually there's a cemented starter on that roster, but it's just like, did they secretly, privately think, okay, well, we're going to keep Colt around as insurance, but let's keep our options open? Because we knew during the draft, because we knew they were going to draft a quarterback. They talked to a handful of quarterbacks while we were in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. I think it's irresponsible to start a rookie week 1 for this franchise. I will repeat that. I think it's irresponsible to do that. But I think it's equally disheartening for a fan base that is desperate to showcase, want to see these young players do well, have excitement around their team, one home win in 18 months, right? Let's start Colt McCoy, who is a byproduct of the prior regime. And I get, like, we've got Jalen Blair in the chat. He's got a good point here. Colt gives the Cardinals the best chance to beat the Commanders and the Giants. I think if Tune starts those games, there's no chance the Cardinals win those games. That's certainly a valid point. But I just feel like, fair or not to Colt, you can't look like this, play like this, have maintenance like this, be a holdover from the prior regime, and get the benefit of the doubt from the fan base. It is, would you say it's like 80-20 on Twitter? And that Twitter's not everything. Fans not wanting Colt McCoy over Clayton Tune. I think we're trending toward that, because every single throw we've seen that's been published that people consume from Colt McCoy online has been negative. It just hasn't been good.
I mean, I think we have, you can look back at yesterday's, sights and sounds here on our YouTube channel. You'll see
from the pajama practice.
What do you, I mean, you just asked for decent throws from Colt McCoy, and there they are, especially the one to Michael Wilson. And they were all in the end zone, and they're all for touchdowns. So I'm not going to scratch those off the list. I mean, he only threw the passes that he could throw at that moment, and he threw them for touchdowns. I buy into sometimes things that go on in social media, and also I don't think you're incorrect as far as the overwhelming, the majority of people, they're going to err on the side of Tune and want to see the rookie kind of just sink or swim, right? But that's most fan bases in situations like this. Like, is it your options are a perennial backup quarterback or a young draft pick with a really, really solid skill set? I think most people are going to gravitate to the rookie. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, they want to see, they think that, this could be the beginning of something special. Did the Cardinals find like their version of a Tom Brady, right? Did they, I know Brady was 199 in the 6th round, and Tune was at the beginning of the 5th round, but we're talking day 3 picks, and we're talking guys but Brady had the benefit of sitting a year before even seeing the field before. I mean, and I'm not saying that Clayton Tune is Tom Brady, but people get they get lost in that, and they romanticize about that because it has happened before. But as much as that, very little has that happened, there have been, a dozen of 5th round quarterbacks, and even before that, who are in and out of this league. because they just couldn't hack it. And this game is so brutal.
Yeah. I want to get to a couple of comments from Vanessa here. Vanessa said she was out of practice today, had a great time. Love hearing that. She says, I can't believe football starts next week. It's so exciting. It is super exciting. It's exciting to have this conversation. This is not a conversation I thought we'd be having a week and a half into training camp yet. Here we are. Here's something else that's exciting. How about some highlights, Bo Brock, from today's practice here? My man shot these. Bo, what are we looking at?
Yeah, let's watch this. So this is the first kind of little corners versus wide receivers drills. Watch this one. Very physical contested catch against Christian Matthew, Michael Wilson. And then the wide receiver core comes out and starts chirping immediately after. Things getting chippy right out of the gates as the team put on the shoulder pads. Christian Matthew, Michael Wilson, you love to see it. The competition at an all-time high. Rondell Moore, Hollywood getting in there. Buda Baker jogging in. Everybody's just kind of feeling the fire a little bit with the pads on. And then we start to see, I believe this is Clayton Tune. This is in sevens. This is Clayton Tune. I believe we're going to see Tune with a pretty impressive pass here into the corner. No, that's an Owen Papo pass breakup. This is Tune. He's going to make a completion down the sideline to Andre Bocellia, a holdover from last year's. And then this is going to be Tune. This is the Tune show. You've tuned into the Tune show as
Good.
This is not him running with the ones just yet. This is him in the second team offense.
That's a nice
tight
throw.
end from Philly. That's a TD. Jalen Thompson. Oh, there's QB1 Kyler Murray. So let's just put some words in his mouth. What are they saying right here, Johnny?
Get Colt out of here. He's washed. He's done. Clayton Tune looks good. We're trying to compete. We're trying to make the postseason, John. It's too big of a liability to start Colt. I like him. He's a nice guy, but right now, I mean, you got to play the young guy, John. I mean, look at what he's doing. Look at some of the throws he's making. I can't.
He's not saying, hey, I want to start week one. What are we talking about? Let's just look at the poor ball boy.
That body language was interesting. I hadn't seen this yet. Okay.
Clayton Tune. This is where he's running with the ones a little bit. This is him dropping back, and he's going to throw a dot down the field to Greg Dortch.
That's a big time throw.
Big time throw to end our highlights from camp today. It was
a lot of Colt McCoy highlights in that video package there.
Yeah, I love.
You pick the videos. You send the videos.
I did, but I've got a level head on these bronze shoulders. Okay.
Bo does not want this show to be known as the show that puts out fake information about.
I love that it's you. You can lead the charge. You can be the leader of the Tune squad, and you can rally all the way to the team facility in Tempe and pick it out there and say that you don't want to see Colt McCoy and it's time to tune in to Clayton Tune. I just think that the team is going to move forward with the veteran quarterback.
That's fine. Wouldn't be the first team. Chase, sensible Bo. I love it. I hate it. It's the worst. Let's be a little irresponsible. Come be irresponsible with us at BetMGM this fall. I can't wait to be there every single football Sunday. Partially, I want to see Clayton Tune because I want everybody to be fired up about quarterback play before Kyler Murray comes back. And then we can talk about it, drink about it with our friends at BetMGM Sportsbook at the Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium every single football Sunday this fall. Yes, home and away there. We had some people ask us, you going to be there week one against the Commanders? Hells yeah, we are. Myself, Bo Brock, the entire crew. And in the meantime, dabble with the BetMGM 3-ball challenge. But before you do that, how about you dabble on some props with the Arizona Cardinals? Again, like the over-under for this team, Bo Brock, remains at 4.5 with our friends at BetMGM. Is that irresponsible to take the over? Now you pound that over. I'm fully entrenched in the over team for 4.5, even if Clayton Tune has to start some games. In the meantime, it's the BetMGM 3-ball challenge. This is the stuff golfers' dreams are made of. It's 120 degrees outside, so you can play golf virtually with our friends at BetMGM. You and 3 guests could also be teeing off at one of the most legendary courses if you top the ranks of the PGA 3-ball challenge. Take your swing at this free-to-play challenge by revealing your roster of golfers for each week's tournament. The players with the best performing golfers will snag awesome weekly prizes and also be entered for a shot to win the end of the season grand prize. How about this, Bo Brock? A foursome at TPC Sawgrass. Plus, they're going to give you $3K in withdrawable bonus dollars. You can use that on travel, accommodations, food, beverage, whatever you want. It's up to you. But this is up to you as well. Why wouldn't you do this? Play ball with the king of sportsbooks. It's our friends at BetMGM. Log into your account, click that promotional tab, find the BetMGM 3-ball challenge. You get 3 spins to lock your roster in, but you only get to do it once, so choose wisely. In the meantime, sign up for BetMGM with the bonus code PHNX. We're going to hook up our friends here in Arizona. Place your first bet offer, receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses. Check out the show notes for full details. Now listen to our guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 Nevada. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
Yeah, sign up with that code PHNX. You won't regret it. We're going to find some prop bets, some futures that we're all going to get in together. But you have to be signed up, of course, on the BetMGM Sportsbook app to join us in the money-making frenzy. You also need to be following on social media our friends over at Four Peaks. It's the official beer of PHNX. Four Peaks at Four Peaks Pub, at Four Peaks Brew on Twitter and Instagram. They've got giveaways going on. They've got a great thing that they're doing for Four Peaks teachers as they're getting back into school. You can go to the website, fourpeaks4teachers.org, and help give back to the teachers. But they also have great beer. They keep it simple. They make and brew unbelievable beer, including their flagship Kilt Lifter on location. They even have this green tea lager, which is fantastic. It's a great summer drinking beer. You get the Wow Wheat, which is unbelievable as well. It's the #1 wheat beer in Arizona. Still relatively new to the scene. If you haven't tried it, you're missing out. They got the Wow Wheat. They've got the Wow Wheat Light. So fantastic. Check it out for yourself. 8th Street in Tempe. Got to be 21 years or older, but of course, we always ask you to drink it responsibly.
Cardinals a 6-point underdog week 1 against the Commanders, but I'm going to tease you right now. You don't have to wait until week 1. Preseason action's live on BetMGM right now. You bet your sweet ass I'll be betting on the preseason, especially when the Arizona Cardinals take on the Denver Broncos a week from Friday at State Farm Stadium. We're going to dabble. Clayton Tune starting that game, easy dub against fraudulent Sean Payton and company. Topic 64, what's up, my man or gal? JV and Bo, how did the secondary do today? Please tell me. Perfect segue into the rest of the Arizona Cardinals. There are players on the team that are not Clayton Tune and Michael Wilson.
What?
And yeah, that's what I've heard. I want to talk about the secondary. Before we do that, though, I want to ask you, because we talked a little bit about this off air. So Trey McBride, Hollywood Brown have a couple nicks, right? Minor, according to JG. I'm wondering, though, with Hollywood Brown in a contract year, I wouldn't advise this to old.
Is that
HB.
a PHNX locker hat or a tinfoil hat on your head?
Maybe a little bit of both. It's dirty. I need a new one. And I'm going to get one at the locker. Hollywood Brown, we don't know his injury. They haven't specified. I've seen Trey McBride during the open portion of practice, like stretch out and like, it looks like Trey McBride has an injury. Can I say that? Does Hollywood Brown have an injury or does Hollywood Brown have a money problem? Does Hollywood Brown have a contract problem? You tell me now what you think.
JG said both those guys are going through different things, right? And things that the media is speculating on, probably far from the truth, and everybody has their own schedule and plan, and they're dealing with nicks and bruises, and nothing sounds like JG's too concerned about it. Like if Hollywood Brown is doing one of those hold-ins, I don't know how he would create any leverage by the way he's operating on a day-to-day basis. Like he's on the practice field all the way up until the team separates from kind of like position groups into like full-fledged, catching passes, getting into scrimmaging. He's still helping the quarterbacks warm up, catching passes out there. He had his helmet on. I'm like, is Hollywood actually going to practice today? Really felt like he's really close to returning as a full participant in practice. Didn't see as much from Trey McBride. So it doesn't seem like he's as close as Hollywood Brown is. But I don't know. If Hollywood Brown is in one of the hold-ins that we saw from a DJ Humphries or Marcus Golden, he's probably not doing himself the best service. And it's just like, how, like, what leverage does he have? He's in the fifth. They picked up his fifth-year option, right? He's got 1,000-yard receiver in his 4 NFL seasons. Like, how could he press the Arizona Cardinals to give him a multi-year extension? I just think that ship has sailed at this point.
Yeah, I think it would be a terrible decision. I'm curious. Like he went from practicing to not practicing. He looks good, but he's not participating right now. So I hope it's nothing. I hope it's something that, turn the page here, and he's playing against Denver next week. Alex in the chat, thank you so much. $1.99 super chat. Do you guys take pics with fans at practices? Bo took a pic with some fans at practice. Yeah. It's just if you guys call Bo or I over and want to take a picture, no one calls me over to take a picture. Only Isaiah Simmons wants to take his picture with me. That's it.
I saw my guy Jacob out there yesterday. We took a selfie. I saw my guy Sean out there today. Somebody asked me to move Cardinals equipment. I won't move any of the Cardinals equipment out of your site there. That's unfortunately not something. I probably get kicked off the practice field for doing it. Some kid asked me to play catch with them yesterday. So I was throwing the football around like I was JJ Watt, and I'm sure the rest of the fans in the stadium who don't know who I am were like, who the F is this guy throwing passes and then shooting 30 seconds of film on his iPhone? Like this.
That's Colt McCoy's brother-in-law. That's Bo Brock.
Why does that guy throwing with the kid have more arm strength than more?
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Hell yeah. All right, Bo Brock, you're there. You're on the sideline. You're taking notes. You're snapping pics. Who else looks good for this team and who looks not so good? What can you tell us?
I can say that the offensive line really had a good performance today as they started to get more physical with the pads on. It was something that we talked to Paris Johnson and DJ Humphries, and they were chomping at the bit because you can't really when you're just not wearing pads and you're just playing in shorts.
Yeah,
it's tough for those guys to really get good snaps in as they prepare for the season. You got to take some hits because that's just part of the game. And I think that they were up for it. And, somebody had asked about Marco Wilson. I think Marco Wilson, like I saw him talking to Nick Rallis today. You've seen Marco Wilson make some plays in this training camp. I think Marco Wilson is really poised for a solid season. We saw the struggles from Christian Matthew today going up against Michael Wilson, sticking with him, or when, Wilson, if they're tight on coverage, he's winning the contested catch. You're seeing as far as the safeties, I think guys like Buda and Jalen Thompson are playing well. And then your linebackers like Kazir White and Josh Woods continue to play well.
Yeah, that back seven is the strength of this defense, I think, with Buda Baker solidified. Jalen Thompson, I think, is going to bounce back after his season was fine last year. He was really good 2 years ago. Simmons is the X factor to that secondary. And then you mentioned like Marco Wilson, I think, is poised. Like if you had asked me right now, who's more likely to get an extension, Marco Wilson or Hollywood Brown, I would say Marco Wilson, because he plays Gannon's one of his favorite positions. And he's a young kid that I think is, he threw a shoe once upon a time, and he likes to wear nice jewelry in his locker room interviews, but he's also incredibly, incredibly humble and likable. And not to say Hollywood Brown isn't, but I feel like Gannon will vibe well with Marco Wilson, and he makes defensive backs money. Whereas like Hollywood Brown, I hope he has 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, but again, like, will he be hampered by poor quarterback play? Will he be hampered by himself? Injuries? We just don't know. Like, Marco Wilson was low-key good last year, and a lot of people don't want to admit it. And that's a premium position that the Cardinals, Michael Wilson is right there. He's making plays every single day in practice. And at some point, like, we're going to get to the season, and like, yeah, these guys are rookies. They're not going to be treated like rookies anymore, especially if they're playing 70+% of snaps on Sundays. Could hit ball, but they might not. So I'm fired up about that. And we also, we kind of telegraphed, but like, the offensive line is grossly, grossly underrated. The tackles, to me, have a chance to be special. Humphries, I gave him a lot of BS this offseason. He showed up, and, after not participating for most of the offseason, he's been in every practice. He's healthy. If DJ Humphries is right in 2023, that's a huge boost for this team. You get great tackle play from him and good tackle play from Paris Johnson Jr. Like, Colt McCoy will have extra time if he isn't in there to pat the ball and make sure he finds the open receiver. That's such a benefit for this team. last year, if you guys remember, I mean, Humphries was not right the entirety of the year. Beachum is a limited player at this point in his career. And then Josh Jones was kind of in and out of the lineup. Tackle was not a plus position. It has a chance to be that for this team.
Yeah, for the first time in it feels like forever, right? And also to develop a guy like Paris Johnson Jr. And we talked to him, and that's something to look forward to at PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter. We'll post some clips from Paris Johnson Jr. But he just said he's trying to keep up the standard as far as that's been set by DJ Humphries, and he lumped in Kelvin Beachum as well. I mean, he wants to continue that, and I think he also wants to pave his own path is kind of the first. I mean, talk about the quarterback position. I think they finally ended the drought as far as drafting and developing a quarterback with Kyler Murray. Think about the left tackle position, or the offensive line position since they moved to the desert. It's been as futile as it can be as far as drafting and developing guys. It's right there with quarterback. So if Paris Johnson can kind of be the culture changer, that's huge for this team right out of the gates for a new regime with Monti Ossenfort. Somebody asking about Keitrell Clark. We see Keitrell Clark show up every once in a while in the first team defense. He's getting opportunities. Keitrell Clark is a guy that plays above and beyond his size. The only thing is his size. He's limited. He's listed about 5'10", but he's a guy that plays with. He plays fast. He plays with a lot of energy. And he matches up with what Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon want from every player on their team. He's violent, he's versatile, he's smart. But he, as far as if there's a ball that's thrown over his head and he's just limited to his 5'10" frame, that's the one thing you're gonna have to live with. But I think they love how he competes, and I think he's a guy, as a 6th round pick, right? That they're excited about.
Yeah, I'll tell you who I'm excited about, and every day I see a clip of him. I mean, it's this tight end from Philadelphia. Help me with his name that they stole in this spring. Who was the first signing that they grabbed?
Noah Tagai?
Yeah, I mean, I like Trey McBride as much as everybody else, and they've got Zach Ertz coming, but this guy's making touchdowns every practice. It's like, hey, they signed the tight end from Tennessee.
They like Swaim a lot too.
Yeah,
I mean, Swaim's already working with the first team. Yeah.
To me, it's like that. It's a position obviously Ossenfort knows how to evaluate. And 12 personnel, play action. It's like, again, going back to the Tune argument, this is not Cliff Kingsbury. And I know people are pissed because I keep bringing up Cliff, but it's what we can compare it to. This is not 10 personnel where you're asking Kyler Murray, albeit as a rookie with 4 or 5 receiver sets, to just kind of go through 4 different reads. If you are going to start Clayton Tune at any point, whether it's week 1 or week 5, your offense with 2 tight ends and a running back, that's how you set them up for success. Yeah. Easy throws, play action, dump offs, seam routes, and then you take an occasional shot or 2 on 3rd down. I feel like Jacoby Brissett has had a cup of coffee as an NFL starter under Drew Petzing, but he's not right now. He's not number 1 quarterback in Washington. I think Drew Petzing, again, I'll say this every show, is designed to handle this absence from Kyler Murray. Yeah, and I would love to see an offensive coordinator for this franchise for the first time scheme easy throws, because it has not been that way. I love Bruce. I love Bruce Arians, but that wasn't his offense either.
I guarantee you, Eric Bieniemy, who's the new OC in Washington, is not prepared to get as much and wring out the washcloth as far as much as you can get from Jacoby Brissett that Drew Petzing did last year in the absence of Deshaun Watson. So. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have Watson for 11 games, and him and Stefanski and the rest of the offensive staff over at Cleveland were able to kind of make chicken salad out of that chicken shit. And, that's a true testament to Drew Petzing. And you're right. I think that this is for him to come in year 1, and this is one of the adversity he's facing. I think it's actually one of the few guys that was available calling plays on the offensive side of the football that was prepared for that could be prepared for that.
Yeah. Fishbowl Flash, could you imagine if K1 would have started as a rookie under JG and not the former? We're going to talk about Kyler Murray here in the second because his GM spoke about him. Could you imagine if Monti Ossenfort was his GM from day 1 instead of Steve Keim? That's a pipe dream. Speaking of a pipe dream that can become a reality, how about buy one, get one free double time Polar Pops from Circle K? We're going to help you make that a reality with our with our friends, our partners at Circle K. Check out your local Circle K. Again, best coffee, iced coffee right now. It's too hot to be drinking hot coffee. I see people doing it. It's egregious. It's 120 degrees outside. What are you doing? But some cold beer from Circle K. Sign me up from that. Snack selection at a premium. Speaking of premium gas at not a premium price. Stock up at Circle K. It's America's thirst stop. Of course they are. Buy one Powerade at $4. Get them for $5 and enter, and you're going to be one of 10 finalists to win a 2023 Ford Big Bend Broncos SUV. Heck yeah. Love that. Of course, only with our friends at Circle K. Make sure you're not missing out on all the great stuff they've got going on. As I mentioned, text PHNX to 31310. That's 31310 to join the exclusive SMS subscriber club and get that sweet, sweet buy one, get one free Polar Pop at Circle K. Check them out, circlek.com/store-locator, to find the Circle K nearest to you.
Love Circle K. I load up on coffee on my way out to the stadium, load up on gas, making the trek out to Glendale. Can't wait to see everybody out in Glendale later this week. Also, can't wait to see everybody out with their brand new Shady Rays. I hope you're taking advantage of the best deal of the season. It continues as the summer months continue, just getting into August. So continue to put in that PHNX promo code to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium polarized shades from one of the best the top independent sunglass company. World-class product, but not as expensive. You don't pay for the world-class and the premium shades over at Shady Rays. Check them out for yourself. They've got the new store up there in Kierland Commons in North Scottsdale, and find out why 250,000 people are rating it 5 stars, 5-star reviews for our friends over at Shady Rays. Use that promo code PHNX. Get 50% off 2 or more pairs of sunglasses at shadyrays.com. That's shadyrays.com, promo code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium polarized shades.
The GM spoke, Monti Ossenford, to the media for the first time in what seems like forever. He talked about a number of different topics, Bo, but you did get a chance to touch base with the head honcho, the GM, about one Kyler Murray and his recovery timeline, which I mean, his comment here, I think, is really interesting.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, Monti Ossenford, pretty much in line with what we've heard from Kyler himself, Jonathan Gannon, anybody from the organization that's spoken on it. But he pretty much also did answer one question as far as, those who think, could the Cardinals hold off on Kyler Murray even if he's healthy? Monti dispelled that immediately. Here he is talking about K1.
We're focused on getting Kyler healthy, right? And that's not in my area of expertise. I'm relying on the people that specialize in that, and they're doing a great job. And Kyler's doing a great job. He's jumped in, feet first with that, and he's rolling on that. And so, really, for us, we're not sitting there looking at a calendar counting the days. Like when these rehabs, they're not a linear progression. There's good days, there's bad days. And so, when Kyler's ready to be put out on the field, both physically and mentally, we're going to get him out there. We're not going to hesitate to put him out there. But until we get to that point where physically he's ready to do it, we're going to take it day by day and see where he's at.
So they don't know. They don't have a true timeline. As he said, it's not linear. It's not just something you build up. But he said once Kyler Murray is 100% mentally, once he's 100% physically, they're not going to hesitate to put him out there, because Monti Ossenford understands, as far as what this league's about, and you have to produce results. And the only way the Arizona Cardinals can produce results, kind of buck what people are saying in the national media, is to have solid quarterback play. And the only guy that really seems right now capable of doing that would be a healthy Kyler Murray.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Kyler speak to the media on Saturday. It was just like, how soon can we get this young man back under center and playing football for this team? Again, I banged the drum for Clayton Tune in part. It's a desperation play. I'll admit that. I'm desperate to not watch Colt McCoy play football. I'm also desperate to see Kyler Murray play football and play football at a high level again. I mean, it feels like forever ago. It was 2 years almost to the date that he tore up Tennessee in week 1, Ossenford's ex-team, in the tune of, no pun intended, 5 touchdowns. It's just like, oh yeah, that's what he can do when he's available and he's healthy. It feels like, for me, this is the first time that he's going to be supported by his head coach and his general manager in tandem, right? And he's going to have, big boy development, big boy coaching at his sideline. Like it always felt like he was not playing with a full deck with the prior regime. And I feel like sometimes it ate at him. And I think he is going to relish the opportunity to come back and be a big cog in the machine and prove people wrong. Because I know Kyle Odegaard, friend of the program, has been putting out some interesting quotes from people close to Kyler Murray. It's just like he is ready. He's ready to prove people wrong. He's ready to come back and showcase to everybody. Like, you can talk about, the kid out of USC, Caleb Williams. Like, this is my franchise. I'm going to win these fans back. For those who've jumped off the bandwagon, I'm going to take care of business. And man, if we knew the date, I think we'd all feel a little bit better about the situation at hand right now with Tune and McCoy. But because it is so up in the air, and I'll give, Austin Ford's right. It's not a linear process. Like, we have about 6 weeks left before the start of the regular season, roughly 40 days. Like, you could say, well, every day he's going to get better. We don't know that. He could go backwards some days. Some days he could feel great. He needs to practice. We have to be patient, because hopefully, if we're patient for the next 2+ months, it will lead to a long and fruitful relationship with Kyler Murray in this franchise in the second phase, because they need a restart. They need a refresh.
Yeah, and I think Monti, he answered some questions today about Kyler Murray, and people saying, what does he have to prove to him once he comes back? This was his answer.
I think everybody in this organization needs to prove something every day. I mean, we're all here competing. We're at the highest level. If all of us don't bring it every single day, we're going to get passed up. So whether that pertains to Kyler or specifically myself or JG or any other player on the team, I mean, this is a day-to-day business, and if we don't bring it every day, improve every day, find a way to get better, it's going to be a long year.
This is a big difference from the previous staff, and like Johnny said, we don't want to harp on that, but it was like the previous staff, the previous front office was like, if we could just get to, through the first weeks of the season without DeAndre Hopkins, we'll be fine. Where Monti Ossenfort knows there's more to it than just that. Yeah. Jonathan Gannon realizes there's more to it than just that. And that if you're trying to keep an ace up your sleeve and you're trying to be, fool everybody and pull off this big trick and not get caught up, you don't think the rest of the league is going to figure you out and then kind of embarrass you, then you're being naive. I think that they're very aware that they can't try to slide anything by anybody else in this league. They've got to be they've got to keep this team focused from 1 to 90, to the coaching staff, to the front office, to everybody in that building, to the training staff. It's so important, because once you kind of take your foot off the gas, you put yourself in a position, you become vulnerable, and they don't ever want to be vulnerable, and they don't want to do it just by trying to get the best draft pick. Now, Monti Ossenfort, you mentioned Caleb Williams already. He said that Kyler, along with everybody else, has something to prove. There was that last question that people tried to kind of dress up to see if they could get an answer from the Cardinals general manager. This was him asked kind of about Caleb Williams, and is the team thinking about him at all?
Holy moly, man! I'm just trying to get through Tuesday here. Yeah, no. Listen, every draft is the same. We scout every position equally. It's not. We don't go into a draft saying this year we're all set at this position. We're scouting every position, no matter who is on the roster right now.
So there he is, and we knew that about. They drafted.
Kudos to whomever asked that question too. By the way, kudos to whomever asked that question. It's a real question. It's like,
there's a lot of good questions to Monti this afternoon.
Yeah. It's like, it's a real question to ask about Caleb Williams. Just like our GM Saul Bookman, it's real to ask Caleb Williams about the Arizona Cardinals. Like I want this team to win as many games as possible. And I can also look with our friends at BetMGM and other sites, and it's like Cardinals are projected to have the first 2 picks in the NFL draft next year. It's like, okay, and then we'll reassess, right? Let's check in 2 months. I'm guilty as anybody. Like, this is Tank Tuesday for a reason. We're embracing the tank of sorts. But like that first Sunday at BetMGM, like, I'm going to cheer my ass off for this team to beat the Commanders, because I want to win games. But I also understand, like, we don't have the bite, but I think it's interesting, Bo, and you can hopefully shed some more light on it. Like, the Cardinals the infrastructure of this team is being completely gutted and renovated. And we can specifically point out now the practice bubble has been renovated. They've added new turf. Gannon said, Bo, today that they've added additional lighting. Like, this is so big. This is so much bigger than Clayton Tune starting week 1 or Colt McCoy's rag arm during practice. Like, this is an ideology, philosophy change with the Cardinals that has been stale. Like, we can be excited about in the past Steve Keim trading for Trayvon Mullen. when it's like, it's dressing up a pig, right? It's putting makeup and lipstick on a pig. It doesn't matter because the core was rotten. It's like, even if this team struggles early in the season, I see some people in the chat, like Jack in the chat, it's going to be rough to start the season. That may very well be the case. You read between the tea leaves here, you read between the lines. It's like, no. They're doing something here that's got a longevity to it that this franchise has not had before.
Yeah, they're laying foundation, right? And their owner is listening. And JG even mentioned that practice facility was something that's been in the works even before him. They just the turf that was in there, players hated practicing on it. It was bad as far as the upkeep of their bodies. It was probably bad on their knees, probably bad on their backs, and they'd rather just go out there in the heat and sweat it out, and instead of just put themselves in a position to where they could hurt themselves just by training on that turf. So what JG said is Michael Bidwell put in this, and the Cardinals put in this cutting edge turf and this cutting edge lighting. The only thing is, like, it's when they shift back to Tempe from training camp out in Glendale, is I don't know, it's just one bubble and it's only got like one field on it for the most part. It's going to be really going to be packed in there, but it's nice to have that option. I asked JG about it, because the team social media account put it out there a couple of days. Like, do you have big plans? He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna use the shit out of that. I've got huge plans for that, and it's good to have that option.
Do you think they're going to stay with these afternoon practices then? Do you think they're creatures of habit and they're just like, well, this is how we did things during training camp.
Yeah,
we want the day to be consumed by the Cardinals. Like, we don't want to do
like
this
right?
practice and then go home and do whatever, right?
You were telling me you thought Jody Ayler put it out there, and I don't want to misquote him or anything, but
yeah, it was a great
tweet.
Think
there's a lot of truth to it. I'll let you kind of take over as far as the philosophy, at least early on with training camp, and I don't see it really changing as the regular season approaches.
I don't either. Like, so again, we're comparing to the prior coach. This isn't dogging on Cliff Kingsbury, but what time were the practices under Cliff Kingsbury last year, Bo Brock?
They were like 8. I think I was getting there at 7:30, and practice we talked to Cliff, and then practice was at 8. I mean, you can help me remember that, right? Was it 8? Yeah, 8 o'clock in the morning.
So then your day would be done by like 1 o'clock if you're a Cardinal player, depending. And then maybe you had some meetings, maybe not. Maybe you get a workout in. Cardinals probably report around the same time, but they have their meetings in the morning now, and they have practices in the afternoon. Everything builds toward practice, right?
Right.
So Jody Ayler, friend of the program, put it brilliantly on Twitter. You probably go find the tweet. I'll paraphrase, but just it's like your day is all encompassed with the Cardinals now.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be locked in the entire day. It's not segmented, cut. Like, no. You have to be in the zone to be ready to play football from sun up to sundown. And the Cardinals last year, and under Kingsbury at times, were just not committed to be great at football, obviously, right? Even if their plan was working at times, like their day was so segmented out to be like, okay, go and do your own thing in the afternoon. Well, okay, by the time that you get to bed or by the time you're eating dinner, like, you've already done a couple different activities that aren't football related. This is a process where, I mean, you can have a personal life, you can have a family, absolutely, but man, like, this is a full-time job. And it at times did not feel like a full-time job under Cliff.
Right. It's like, get in, get out, and then you can be on with your day. And I just don't, Jonathan Gannon wants people that eat, sleep, and breathe this thing. It's not, hey, how can I get to the rest of my life as quick as possible and just get the hard work out of the way as soon as possible. So it's going to be, and DJ Humphrey said that's part of the culture shock. That's what he's like, you either get with it or you get on. And I think that's part of this. You gotta, this has to be your life. You have to be consumed by it. You're being paid handsomely. You're being paid millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars for even the lowest guys on the roster. This is your full-time gig, and you got to treat it as such.
Jody's exact tweet was, for the last 3 years, Cliff Kingsbury started training camp practices at 8:30. It was over before 11. Pretty much a part-time training camp. Enjoy the comfort. Jonathan Gannon's practices all start at 1 p.m. or later. It's an all-day mindset. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And there were people that push back on that and, like, to come to Cliff's support. And I get that, but he's right. He's 100% right. Like, you're ripping the Band-Aid off. If you were Cliff's practices, let's just get it done. Like, I'm sure they said that a lot. Let's just get it out of the way, where it's like, no. we're going to ease into the day with Cardinal football, and then we're going to do Cardinal football at lunch, and then after lunch, we're going to do more Cardinal football. And by the way, you have to be on time or your ass is getting fined, and you have to wear Cardinal gear.
Love it.
It's great. Welcome to the NFL, Arizona Cardinals. We've missed you. Welcome back.
Another thing we've missed is our friends over at OG's. You don't miss out on what they've got going on this summer. Limited time flavor, pink lemonade, refreshing twist on the classic summer beverage. It's a pink lemonade flavor gummy. Of course, Arizona's Cannabis Kitchen has done it again. Check out all their full product line, ogsbrands.com, OGEEZbrands.com. They've got their sleep edition gummies. They've got their new strawberries and cream that's been going on. It's the Happy Balance. And then they've got the mixed bags that they introduced just a few months ago, where they got the fruits, the creams. You can figure out if you're a fruit person, a cream person, the watermelon versus the blackberries and cream, the orange creamsicle versus the peach. Find out which gummy you like the best over at OG's. But one thing's for sure, they got something for everyone. We highly recommend OG's. Go to ogsbrands.com. Find them on Instagram. And, of course, you can find them in your local dispensary. Got to be 21 years or older.
Dylan in the chat, no cell phone breaks. Remember, that was a big deal. That was Cliff's first year.
I saw a video from the fruit cart again. I forgot about the fruit cart, and it was like Kyler Murray and crew, and they're just hanging out and they're picking out their favorite fruits on the cart there.
They were living large, man. Like they had proved a damn thing, but man, oh man, they wanted you to know that they were, making waffles during Hard Knocks and, having a great time under Cliff. They enjoyed it, I'm sure, until the 7-game losing streak, and then everybody was put on blast. We're going to put you on blast right now. Why haven't you checked out? If you haven't already, go PHNX.com. Got a whole new layout of the homepage that features our many talented writers. Gerald Bourguet covering the Suns, Howard Balzer, the PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, does a phenomenal job. So much good content you can't get anywhere else on like a flipping daily basis. If you guys are thinking like, where can I go just to get my Arizona sports fix professionally, collegiately, it's at gophnx.com. And in the meantime, become a diehard. There's been no better time than right now to become a diehard ahead of football season. 20% off all future get-togethers, events, but additionally, you're going to get a free hat and or shirt from the PHNX merchandise locker when you sign up right now. Do not miss it. Also, do not miss the Discord, the exclusive PHNX Cardinals member Discord, only for our diehards. Get insight into training camp, highlights you can't get anywhere else, including the Twitter streets. Again, go PHNX.com, diehard, get it now. Appreciate you, Chase. Appreciate you for making it a great show.
We have a huge announcement coming on Thursday. Can't wait to tell you guys what's coming down for the PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Sports. Also, you talk about Howard Balzer, his latest article on Kyler Murray. I don't know if you can get any closer to Kyler Murray's camp. He got praise on that article from somebody very close to the Cardinals quarterback that loved that article. You got to check it out for yourself, as well as check out the new layout at gophnx.com. But don't drag your feet any longer. Become a diehard and join us. Get early access to all the stuff we're doing out there at BetMGM this season. You don't want to be late to the party on that stuff.
Howard's the man, as are all of you. Like and subscribe. If you haven't already, go ahead and leave this video a like. Then go down to the comments here and tell us, who do you want to start the season? Colt McCoy or Clayton Tune? And give us a little bit of rationale. Okay, I got people yelling at me in the chat one way or the other. Go to the official comments.
What's your rationale?
It's good stuff.
You just like him. You just like the strong arm quarterback.
I like the cut of his jib, man. I like guys who are young that can move a little bit. It's good stuff, man. It's been fun here on a Tank Tuesday. Many more Tank Tuesdays ahead. That is the most egregious cutoff tank I've ever seen, Bo Brock. It took me all show to call you out. I'm going to call you out right now. This is the freshest you can get right here. Yeah. It's like $6 off Amazon. Again, Tune Squad in the chat. Let him cook. Tune, please. Tune. The Tune Squad. Man, oh man, would those t-shirts sell the shit out of the merchandise locker if we got to that point. In the meantime, like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. Head to your smartphones. Find PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcast. For Bo Brock, I'm Johnny Venerable. We're back on a Wednesday. Peace.